Hello everyone, and welcome back to our Shir and Dishu Bahalacha. We're holding today on Reish Mem Vav Amud Beis. We are beginning Siman Shin Ayin Ches. Din Chatzeros HaPesuchos Zu L'Zu. The halachas that pertain to multiple Chatzeros that open up one to the other. Ubay He Seifim, and we have 5 Seifim over here. Says the Mechaber in Sif Aleph. Shalosh Chatzeros Pesuchos Zu L'Zu. Let's say we have 3 Chatzeros, 3 courtyards that are open one to the other, upsuchais l'rishus harabim, and they're also each opened up onto the rishus harabim. So besides being opened up one to the other, they also each have an entranceway that goes to the rishus harabim. So I've always used the case of the bungalow colonies, and I always said you have colony A and colony B. Over here we have colony A, colony B, and colony C. We have 3 chatzeros in a row. Each one of the chatzeros has a fence separating it from the other, but in the fence there's a gateway. So there are doorways going from chatzer A to chatzer B to chatzer C. Each one of these chatzeros also has its own entranceway going on to the Rishus Harabim. So if anyone from any one of these chatzeros wants to go to the Rishus Harabim, they don't have to go through the other chatzer. They could go straight out from their own chutzner, straight out to the Rishus Harabim. Now, in a case like this, they have their options wide open. If they want, they could each make their own independent eruv chatzeros. So in each colony, they'll be mutter, they'll be allowed to take a keli sheshavas babayis. They could take a lawn chair from their house, and they could bring it onto the lawn on Shabbos for the Pirkei Avos shir. Even if the lawn chair started out Shabbos in the house, so it's a keli sheshavas babayis. Since they made an eruv chatzeros in their own chutzner, they could take a keli sheshavas babayis and they could bring it out to the chutzner. If they don't join in a combined eruv with the neighboring chutzner, they will not be allowed to bring that lawn chair from their house into the neighboring chutzner. That's if they want. They could make 3 independent eruv chatzeros. Or if they want, they could join, since they do have doorways going one to the other, they could join in a combined eruv. If they join in a combined eruv, then they could take a keli sheshavas babayis in one of the colonies, and they could bring it to the chutzner in the other colony. Or they could take a keli sheshavas b'chutzner. They could take a lawn chair that started out Shabbos in one of the chatzeros, and they could bring it to any of the houses in any of the other colonies. So they have their options wide open. Now, the Mechaber says, what did they choose to do? The erva kol achas me'achitzonos im ha'emtzois. What happened over here was the 2 outside chatzeros. So let's say you have chatzer A, chatzer B, and chatzer C. Chatzer A decided to make a joint combined eruv chatzeros with chatzer B. So the outer one on the left made an eruv chatzeros together with the middle one. Chatzer C, the outer one on the right, also decided to make a joint combined eruv chatzeros with the middle one. But, says the Mechaber, hachit v'achitzonos loy ervu yachad. But the 2 outer ones, A and C, they chose not to make a joint combined eruv with each other. So again, the 2 outside ones each joined with the middle one, but the 2 outside ones did not join with each other. What's the halacha? Says the Mechaber, hachitzonos asuros zu im zu. What's going to happen is A and C are going to be usher one to the other. So you cannot take a lawn chair from one of the houses in one of the outside chatzeros and bring it into the chutzner in the middle chutzner, or vice versa. That you can do. Because, I'm sorry, what I just said was wrong. The 2 outside chatzeros did not combine. They didn't make an eruv with each other. So you cannot take a keli sheshavas babayis, you can't take a lawn chair that started out Shabbos in one of the outside chatzeros and bring it to the other outside chutzner. That you cannot do, because they didn't join in a combined eruv. Hachitzonos asuros zu im zu. But the middle chutzner, muteres im kol achas mehen, is mutter with each one of the outside ones. So you want to take a lawn chair from one of the houses in the middle chutzner, and you want to bring it to one of the outside chatzeros, that you could do. The hein mutaris ima, and likewise the 2 outside chatzeros are mutter with the middle one. So if you want to take a lawn chair from one of the outside chatzeros, and you want to bring it from one of the houses in one of the outside chatzeros, and you want to bring it into the middle chutzner, for the Pirkei Avos here on Shabbos afternoon that you're allowed to do. B'ameh dvarim amurim. When is this true? That the two outside chatzerisin are going to be usher to each other, but they're going to be mutter with the middle one, and the middle one is going to be mutter with the two outside ones. When is that true? Kishenasna emtsa'is eruva bezu ve'eruva bezu. That's true when the way the middle one and the outer ones joined in a combined eruv is, what did they do? The middle chatzer made its own eruv chatzeris with its people, the people that live in the middle chatzer. After they made their own eruv, they decided that they want to join with the outside ones. So now they took from their eruv, let's say they had a big box of matzah, so they took some of the matzah from their eruv, they took part of their eruv, and they put it in one of the outside ones, and they took their eruv and they put it in the other outside one as well. So what did they do? They combined with each of the outside ones by taking their pas, they took their bread, their pas of the eruv, and they put some in one of the outside chatzeris. By doing that, it's as if they said, we now live together with the outside one on the left. Then they took some and they put it in the outside one on the right. And by doing so, they've said, we also live together with the outside one on the right. In that case, what has happened is the middle chatzer has, so to speak, moved into each one of the outside chatzeris. But there's nothing linking the two outside chatzeris. The outside chatzer is the outside chatzer, and the other outside chatzer is the other outside chatzer. The middle one has moved its diurin. They've taken up residency in both of the outside chatzeris as well. But there's nothing linking the two outside chatzeris. Oy, shenastu hachitzainos eruvan beemtzais bishnei batim. Or another time this halacha will be true is if the way the outside ones combined with the middle one is, the outside one on the left took their eruv and they put it into unit number one in the middle chutzner. And by doing that, they've moved into the middle chutzner, and they put their eruv, though, in house number one. The outside chutzner on the right, they took their eruv, and they also put it in the middle chutzner. But they put their eruv in house number 10. They didn't put it in the same house as the left chutzner. The left chutzner put it in house number 1. The right chutzner put it in house number 10. In this case, even though both of the outside chatzerisin have moved into the middle chutzner, since they each chose to use a different house, it's as if they're saying, we don't want to combine. The right one doesn't want to combine with the left one doesn't want to combine with the right one. Even though they both wanted to combine with the middle one, they made sure to use two different houses in the middle one. So in either of those cases, where either the middle one put their eruv into the two outside ones, or where the two outside ones put their eruv into the middle one, but they chose to put it in two separate houses, in both of those cases, the outside chatzerisin will be mutter with the middle one will be mutter with the two outside ones, but the two outside ones are usher one to the other. Avol, however, Im nasnu shtei achitzainos eruvan beemtsois bebayis echad. But if the way the two outer ones combined with the middle one is that they each took their eruv and they put it both into the same house in the middle one. So the right chutzner put their eruv in unit number 1 in the middle one, and then the left chutzner came and they put their eruv also in unit number 1 in the middle one. So then what do we have? Now we have a case where both of the outside chatzeris moved into the same house in the middle chutzner. Well, if they moved into the same house in the middle chutzner, then everybody's one big happy family. Everybody's living together. If everybody's living together, then even though really the two outside chatzerisin set out to make it a Reuben Chatzeris with the middle one, they didn't really set out to make it a Reuben Chatzeris with each other, but it happens to be, since they both moved into the same house in the middle one, that means that they are living together. If they're living together, so they have factually made a joint combined eruv chatzeros. In this case, everybody is going to be mutter with the other. Like the Mechaber says, Avalim nasnu shtei achitzonos eruven be'emtzas b'bayis echad, if the two outside chatzerosin put their eruvin into the same house in the middle chatzer, then shloshtan mutaray zuim zu. Now all three chatzeros factually have one big combined eruv chatzeros, and now everybody is going to be mutter one to the other. Says the Mishnah Berurah in Eis Katan Aleph, Psuchay zu lezu. We have over here three chatzerosin that are opened up one to the other. So the Chavetz Chaim points out, and this is obvious, the lavhachi, if they would not have doorways going one to the other, they wouldn't be able to join in a combined eruv. We know that two chatzerosin that adjoin each other, if they're separated by a fence, the only way they could join in a combined eruv is if there's a pesach. There has to be an opening, a doorway going one to the other. So if we're talking about these three chatzerosin joining in a combined eruv, obviously they must have doorways going one to the other. Eis Katan Beis, the Mechaber made the point that each one of these chatzerosin, each courtyard, has its own independent opening onto the Rishus Harabim. Says the Chavetz Chaim, Eis Katan Beis, Upsuchais Rishus Harabim, V'hu adin kishapsuchais lamavli. First point that the Chavetz Chaim makes is, he says, don't think that the chatzerosin have to have entrance ways that open up onto a real bona fide Rishus Harabim. They could also open up onto a mavli. V'kosvu ha'achrayim. Now the Chavetz Chaim makes another point. He brings down from the Achrayim to Hu Hadin, the same halacha that the Mechaber says over here, that if the two outside ones joined with the middle one, but they didn't join with each other, so they'll be mutter with the middle one, but they'll be usher to each other. To Hu Hadin, the same halacha will apply. Im hachitzayna levad psucha l'rishus harabim olam avli. Let's say these three chatzerosin were aligned in a railroad coming off of the Rishus Harabim, so that the only chatzer that opens up onto the Rishus Harabim is chatzer A. Chatzer A opens up to the Rishus Harabim. Chatzer B is inside of chatzer A, and chatzer C is even further in behind chatzer B. So now, if the people of chatzer C and the people of chatzer B want to get out into the Rishus Harabim, what do they have to do? They have to walk through A. So like the Chavetz Chaim says over here, Ve'emtsois and B, that's the middle chotzer, yesh la drisas haregel. They have a right of passage. If they want to get out to Rishus Harabim, they have to walk through chotzer A. So they have a drisas haregel, they have a right of way through chotzer A. Im hapnimis, and they share that right of way with chotzer C, with the innermost chotzer. Chotzer C also has a drisas haregel over Chatzer A, because Chatzer C also, the only way for them to get out to the Rishus Harabim is by walking through A. So B has a drisas haregel, and they share that drisas haregel together with C. And the Mishnah Berurah calls C Hashnia, the second one, Shelifnim Heimena, which is inside of the middle one. Now, it sounds a little funny, because we would call the middle one the Shnia. We would call the middle Chatzer B, the second one. We would call A the first one, that's the one that opens up onto Rishus Harabim. We would call the Emtsayis, the middle one, the second one, and we would call C the third one. The Chavetz Chaim is calling C, the innermost one, the second one. What he means is that it's the second of the two that have a drisas haregel through the first one. The middle one is the first one that has a drisas haregel through the outside one, and the third one, the innermost one, is the second one that has a drisas haregel through the first one. So in this case also, nami dina hachi, the same halacha that the Mechaber says would apply in this case as well. The kol achas sharya imha emtsois, that A and C will both be mutter with the middle one, if the middle one made a eruv chatzeros with A and with C. So C and A will be mutter with B, but they'll be usher to each other. Now, the point that the Chavetz Chaim is making is what comes now. Afilu hachitzayna hapsucha l'rishus harabim. Even the outermost one, even A, will still be mutter together with the middle one, with B. The people of the innermost chutzner, the people of C, they're usher to A, right? A and C are the two outermost ones. A opens up onto the Rishus Harabim. A and C each made in a Ruva Chatzeros with B. But C is usher to A. The people in the innermost chutzner, they could take their lawn chair from their house, they could bring it to the middle chutzner, to B, but they're not allowed to bring it to A. Now, over here we have a case where the innermost chutzner is usher to the outermost chutzner, and they also have a drisas haregel on the outermost chutzner. They're going to be walking through the outermost chutzner to get to the Rishus Harabim. Now, we've had previously the concept that really comes from this siman, the concept of regel ha'asura b'mekayma, the foot of people that are aser in their own chutzner, they aser af shaloi b'mekayma. They also aser even when they're out of their place. They aser in another chutzner as well. So make sure I'm saying the words right here. 1 second. Regel ha'asura b'mekayma, oiseres shaloi b'mekayma. If you have a chutzner where in their own chutzner, the case that we're going to see later is as follows. We have two chutzneros, one inside the other. So that to get to, you have A and B. A opens up onto the Rishus Harabim, B opens up onto A. There's a doorway, there's a fence and a doorway between B and A. We're going to see that the halacha is, if the innermost chutzner, if B, does not make an Eruv Chatzeros, they don't have an Eruv Chatzeros in their own chutzner. So in their own chutzner, they're not allowed to transfer kalim from their houses to their chutzner. But the outside chutzner, chutzner A, did make an Eruv Chatzeros. So in chutzner A, they have an Eruv Chatzeros. We're going to see that the halacha is, since the people of B are usher in their own chutzner, they're called regel ha'iseres b'mekayma. They are usher in their own place, in their own chutzner. They don't have an Eruv Chatzeros, so they're usher in their own chutzner, and they have a drisas haregel through A. They have to walk through A to get to the Rishus Harabim. They invalidate chutzner A's Eruv Chatzeros. They aser on chutzner A. Why do they aser on chutzner A? Because they have a drisas haregel through chutzner A. They have a right of way through chutzner A. That right of way makes them partial residents of chutzner A. We look at them as sort of quasi-residents of chutzner A. Now we know, in order for a chutzner to have a valid Eruv Chatzeros, all of the residents of that chutzner have to join in a Eruv Chatzeros. If you have a bungalow colony, and you have 20 units in the bungalow colony, and 19 of them combine in the Eruv, and there's one holdout who says, I don't want to be part of the Eruv, then the bungalow colony does not have an Eruv Chatzeros, and nobody is allowed to transfer from their houses to the chutzner, from the chutzner to the house in that bungalow colony. Everybody has to be part of the Eruv Chatzeros. Now over here, chutzner A tried to make it Eruv Chatzeros. Everybody in chutzner A joined together, and they all gave to the pas of the Eruv. But the problem is that chutzner B, the people in chutzner B, have a drisas haregel over chutzner A. They have a right of way through chutzner A. Now we don't consider them full residents of chutzner A, but we consider them residents of chutzner A to this extent. If the people in chutzner B do not make their own Eruv, so in their own chutzner they're usher, so they're called regel ha'iseres b'mekayma, they're usher in their own chutzner, then the fact that they have to walk through chutzner A, and they're quasi-residents of chutzner A, they are now going to aser on chutzner A, and they're going to invalidate the Eruv of chutzner A. That's the case that we're going to see soon in Sif Beis. What the Mishnah Berurah is saying over here is, let's go back to our case of Sif Aleph. The case that the Mishnah Berurah gave us, not the Mechaber's case. The Mishnah Berurah's case is, you have chutzner A, chutzner B, and chutzner C in a railroad. Chutzner A opens up onto the Rishus Harabim. Now, chutzner A and chutzner B joined in an Eruv. Chutzner C and chutzner B joined in an Eruv. But chutzner C and chutzner A did not join in an Eruv. Now you might have thought, since the people of Chatzar C have a Drisas Haregel through Chatzar A to get out to the Rishos Harabim, maybe the fact that Chatzar C and Chatzar A are usher to each other, and combine that with the fact that the people of Chatzar C have a right of way through Chatzar A, maybe that will invalidate Chatzar A's Iruv Chatzeros. Says the Mishnah Berurah, no, it does not. Why? Because that's not a case of Regel Ha'iseres B'Mekayma. The residents of Chatzar C are not usher in their own Chatzar. They have a perfectly valid Iruv Chatzeros inside Chatzar C. Inside Chatzar C, they want to transfer things back and forth between their houses and their Chatzar. They're allowed to. They have an Iruv Chatzeros. They're not allowed to transfer things from their houses to Chatzar A. They're usher on Chatzar A, and Chatzar A is usher to them. But they're not regel ha'iseres b'mekayma in their own Chatzar, they're mutter. So therefore, says the Mishnah Berurah over here, afilu achitzayna psuchel rishos harabim, in this case, even Chatzar A that opens up onto the rishos harabim, and that's the Chatzar that Chatzar B and Chatzar C have a drisas haregel through, eina ha'iseres shaloib, ein hapnimis, Chatzar C cannot invalidate Chatzar A's Erev. The regel hamuteres b'mekayma, because people that are mutter in their own Chatzar, and that's the story with Chatzar C, they're mutter in their own Chatzar, they're not going to aser when they're out of their place. So the fact that they have a drisas haregel through A is not going to aser A, even though they are aser to A, they're not allowed to bring kalim from their bottom in Chatzar C to the Chatzar in Chatzar A, but they're not aser b'mekayma. In their Chatzar in C, they're mutter, and therefore they cannot aser Chatzar A. A little bit complicated. I hope I made that clear. Okay. Says the Mishnah Berurah in Ice Cotton Gimel. So, just to recapture, so we shouldn't lose the flow over here. So what we were talking about over here in the Mechaber's case is we have the three Chatzeros next to each other. They open up onto each other. They each have their own independent exit way or entrance way out onto the Rishos Harabim. The two outer ones made an Eruv Chatzeros with the middle one, but they did not make Eruv Chatzeros with themselves. Said the Mechaber, the two outer ones are mutter with the middle one one is mutter with the two outer ones, but the two outer ones are usher with each other because they do not have a combined Eruv Chatzeros. Then the Mechaber said, when is this true? This is true when the way the middle one made an Eruv with the outer ones is that the middle one took its Eruv and put some of it in one outer one and some of it in the other outer one. That's how they combined with the outer ones. If that's the way they combined with the outer ones, then they're mutter with the outer ones and the outer ones are mutter with them, but the outer ones are usher to each other because this Erev does not join the outer ones in any way. Says the Mishnah Berurah, nice cut in Gimel, Eruva bezu ve'eruva bezu, if the middle one took their Erev and put some of it in one outer one and some of it in the other outer one, so now by doing this, the residents of the middle Chatzar have moved into the outer ones. But the outer ones have not moved into the middle one. The middle one moved its Erev to the outer ones. And by so doing, what they have said is, it's as if we are moving into the outer Chatzeres. And that's how we're combining with the outer Chatzeres in a joint combined Erev. But the outer ones didn't move together into the middle one, so there's nothing joining the two outer ones. Aval im nasnu eruvan be'emtzois. But if the two outer ones would move their eruvin into the middle one, then hevi ki'ilu kulan darin be'emtzois. Now everybody has moved into the middle. If everybody moves into the middle, then they're one big happy family. Then everybody's living together in the middle. Or the Mechaber said This halacha of the Mechaber would also pertain if the two outer ones did move their Erevin into the middle one, but they bedafka put it into two separate houses in the middle one. So the left Chatzar put their Erev in unit number 1, and the right Chatzar put their Erev in the middle Chatzar in unit number 10. So they bedafka went into two separate houses. Bishnei Batim, says the Mishnah Berurah is cut in Daled. He makes an interesting point here. Va'afilu mil'uhu lekli achas. Maybe what happened over here was, it's true, the left Chatzar put their Erev in unit number 1, and the right Chatzar put their Erev in unit number 10. But maybe they didn't do it so much because they bedafka wanted to be in two separate houses. Maybe what happened is, the people from the left Chatzar, they brought their Erev to unit number 1, and they said, all right, we have a pile of matzah over here, we need a box to put it in, because we know that the Erev is supposed to be in one keli. So they took out a box, and the people from Chatzar A took their Erev, and they put it into the box, and it filled up the box. Now the people from the other outside Chatzar, they came with their Erev. They come, and guess what? The box is full. There's no room in the box. Now we know the halacha is, even though the Erev L'chatchila is supposed to be in one box, but if you tried to put it in one box, and the box was too full, so now you went then and you used a second box, that does not invalidate the Erev. We don't look at that as a case where you split the Erev. No, you didn't do it because you wanted to split the Erev. You did it because it didn't fit in the box. So what happens if the reason why the two outside Chatzerisin put their Eruvin in two separate houses is not because they wanted it in two separate houses? Maybe they would have done it in one house, but the box in house number 1 was full. So they went to buy house number 10, and house number 10 had an empty box. So the right Chatzar put their Chatzar in house number 10. Is that also considered that now the two outside Chatzeris are not joined because they're in two separate houses? Says the Mishnah Berurah, yeah. Even if what happened over here was that they filled up one keli, and now there's still more Erev and there's no more room. And now they put the rest of the Erev in the second box. This would be a valid Erev if you were doing this as a regular Erev, and you put both boxes in one house. It would be a valid Erev. But if the two outside Chatzerisin, if their Eruvin ended up in two separate houses, the outside Chatzerisin are not going to be considered joined. They're not going to be mutter one to the other, because the bottom line is there's nothing linking them. Excuse me. Nasty cold. However, the Mechaber said, if the two outside Chatzerisin put their Eruvin together in the middle Chatzar, and they put it b'bayis echad, they put it in one house, v'hainu b'kli echad, says the Mishnah Berurah is cut in hay, they put both Eruvin in one keli, oy demal yulamana v'iyater, or in two separate kelim, but only because one overflowed, then ois cut in vav shlashtan mutaros. Then all three Chatzerisin will be mutter one to the other, because now what has happened? The two outside Chatzerisin, they each made a combined Erev with the middle one, but they all put their Eruvin in the same house, and maybe even in the same Keli. By doing that, factually, they have all joined together in one Erev, and now, even if that's not what they set out to do l'chatchila, but the facts on the ground are, they've all moved together in the same house. If they all moved together in the same house, then they're all considered one. They have one joint combined Eruv Chatzeros, and now all three Chatzeros are mutter to each other. I'm going to end a little bit early today because my voice is simply giving out on me due to this cold. Mir Hashem will continue with Sif Beis tomorrow.